Hey, this is Carlos Zuma. Welcome to day one of your Fast Track Approach Academy. Now, what I've tried to do with this program is to try and create a program that will not only give you the fastest results, in other words, get you out there and approaching and get you out there talking to women as fast as possible, but also to give you the right foundation of beliefs and habits and skill sets so that it's a continuing habit, that you'll always have this. You won't just do it now and then, run into some approach anxiety later on and then decide, oh my God, I can't do this, or freak out, or still feel like you need to get more approach programs. This is really going to be your be-all, end-all approach program. Of course, it does build on the concepts and precepts that I set forth in the Approach Women Now program, so you will need that for some of the material. However, this program is meant to be your finishing touch. This is going to give you all the skills you need, inner game and outer game, to be effective approaching women. Now, when you get to that last 5 or even last few percent of skills that guys try to develop in approaching women, that's a very, very refined skill set, and it's very, very advanced, and it's also practically unnecessary because 90% of your results are going to be contained in about 10% of your efforts in this particular area. Let me say that again. 90% of your results will be in about 10% of your efforts. Not the usual 80-20, but 90-10. And the reason for this is that the very small 10% of effort that you have to put in is actually so simple, but it yields you the most results. Let's face it, guys want to have women in their lives. They want to have either a lot of women, maybe just one woman, but we want to have an attractive woman in our life, and we want a woman that doesn't piss us off or just make our life a total freaking chaos nightmare, right? That's what we're aiming for here, and that's what I'm going to give you. That's 90% of what you need in a woman. You don't need the gorgeous sex goddess off of a front cover. I know a lot of guys are allured by that, and there's a lot of programs out there that promise this, but honestly, most guys don't need it, don't want it, and wouldn't like it if they had it. You can take it from me. I've dated quite a few women in that range, and it's not all it's cracked up to be. But you know what? If that's what you want, all the power to you, man, because these skills are going to get you that kind of woman too. So let's get going. First of all, this first day, day one, is going to be about approach anxiety. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you enough material here in this one session to get you through probably 2 days worth of work or 2 days worth of development, but the complete course will actually be given to you over the course of 5 days. By that time, I'm assuming that you'll probably already have received the full complete set, the CDs and the DVDs, and all the other materials that come along with this program, and you'll be able to go with it from there. But these first 5 days, this Fast Track E-course, I do not want you to take lightly. It is definitely a very important part of the program. It's something I spent a lot of time developing, and I want you to get the most benefit out of it. So let's start right now by talking about approach anxiety. Look, we both know that if it was about what you had to say to a woman, what you would say in the approach, you could have just said, hi. Anybody can say that, right? You can talk to anybody with just hello. But you didn't. You didn't use that, and you chose to look for something more clever, as if there was a magic bullet set of words that would make you more confident. Hey, I did this too, okay? It's absolutely fine. Early on, you want to believe that, you know what, since what I'm doing is not working, then I must need some secret technique, some special thing that guys are saying. Well, it's not so much in the technical, cool know-how of what words to put together in what way. There are some that you're going to hear in this program. They're, by the way, the most effective and most advanced techniques for doing this. But again, it all has to come from you. It has to be authentic. It has to be real. So again, what we do is when we kind of throw ourselves into that situation of being in an approach anxiety situation, we get worried that, oh, I don't know what to say. Well, again, if it was about what you were going to say to this person, you could have just said hi. That's all you needed. You know that that's all you need to start a conversation, but you believe that you needed more. In fact, what happens is we look around for this magic bullet, the holy grail, the set of words that's going to make you more confident. And in fact, when we search for something like that, it's really a way of us copping out on the reality. We're trying to avoid reality when we do this. And once again, that's okay. It really is okay. We can get past that, and we can get past it very fast. So let's talk about this a little bit. When you use an indirect approach, what you have to do then is you have to figure out how to get real with your conversation. In other words, when I walk up to a woman and I say something like, hey, then I know that I have to go from her saying, hey, back, or hello. I have to create a conversation out of that. What do I say next? Because it's never about what you say the first thing, right? It's always about how you follow it up. It's how you keep it going. And again, it's because we're really afraid of revealing our interest that we can't come up with the next thing to say that logically fits into that pattern, right? We say hello, she says hello. What do we say next? Do we say something that tells her that we like her? Do we tell her some BS about how she looks like a friend of ours and we just thought we'd come over and say hi? What do we do here? Well, it's actually very easy. The easiest thing is once you understand the skill and technique of connecting from the approach, the initial what you say, to the next thing you say, that's how you finally understand, really. You'll understand the game of approach pretty completely. And I cover this thoroughly in the program that you're going to be getting in the mail, so hang tight. We're going to be having a lot of information here. So again, there is no approach anxiety. It doesn't exist. Let me give you an example here. You've probably heard this before, but what do you think a shark thinks about all day long? Does he think, hey, this water is pretty warm. Hey, I like this water. This is cool. I'm going to swim around in it for a while. No, he's actually not aware that he's in water. Now, forget the fact for a minute here that he's an eating machine. He's an animal that doesn't really have a lot of self-awareness. The shark itself is not really conscious of the fact that he's in water because it's pervasive. It's all around him. It's complete, and he doesn't understand. We don't even realize that we're in air most of the time. Think about that. You are surrounded. You are completely surrounded by the atmosphere of the Earth. The air is all around you. In fact, it's pressing in on you right now at about, I believe, 16 pounds per square inch. Okay? And as you go down into the ocean, you know that the pressure increases, and you know what that pressure feels like. Well, right now, you're already under extreme pressure from the atmosphere, the weight of the atmosphere pressing down on you. Yet you weren't aware of this, were you? Well, you probably were aware from a science class or something like that, but the reality is you really don't think about it all the time. Most of the time, you're just thinking about, hey, I'm in my life. I'm right here. The same thing is true about approachers. The best approachers are not even aware that they're approaching. They're not aware of this thing called approach anxiety. It doesn't exist for them. It's never even come into their conscious awareness, not like the fact of knowing that you're in an oxygen and nitrogen-rich atmosphere, right? And by the way, most of the atmosphere is composed of nitrogen, which not a lot of people know about. It's basically an inert gas that does nothing for us, but yet it makes up most of the atmosphere. Think about this. Think about the field goal kicker in football, in American football. He doesn't have goal-kicking anxiety, where he imagines that there's this imaginary obstacle in front of him and between him and the goal and the uprights. He's only focused on the space between the uprights and kicking that ball forward and through them. That's all he's doing. He doesn't think about any obstacles in between there. He doesn't think about wind resistance. He may think about where it's blowing, but not much. He's just trying to get that ball as far as he possibly can. And he's not even trying to go out and overcome his uprights anxiety or anything crazy like that. Can you imagine that? Goal post anxiety? The same thing is true about us. We are so completely surrounded by our realities that we don't even question them or notice them. The way a fish doesn't notice the water it swims in, or the shark. So when we talk about confidence, what we're really talking about here is coming from another mindset. All right? Confidence is not something that you have or possess or that's in you. It's simply the absence of all the thinking that stops you from being yourself, from being confident, from being you, from doing the things you want to do, getting what you want to get, being the person you want to be. So now in this mindset of confidence, what we were really talking about is that this person has not experienced quite that crippling cascade of emotions that stops them from feeling good about themselves. So what we're talking about when we talk about this approach anxiety thing is that your change in belief here has to be transformative, not incremental, or pondering the fine details of all the bad thinking that you're trying to escape. You have to leave those thoughts so completely behind you that you would be erasing them, not just overcoming them, you're erasing them. They just don't exist. Because it's one of those things where you're either there or you're not in a lot of ways. In other words, I can't be in gear 2.5 with my car. I can't shift from gear 2 to gear 2.5. I go straight from gear 2 to gear 3, and then I accelerate through that gear until I get to gear 4. So we're doing the same thing here. We're going to pop the clutch out, and we're going to pop you into the next gear in terms of your own ability to approach, getting you past the approach anxiety. Let me give you another example of how our thinking cripples us. And again, this is all the inner game stuff I want to get done and out of the way up front so that you can feel confident when it comes time to go out and talk to people and interact. And it's not something you're going to be going, oh God, I'm dreading that. I just don't know how I can do it. If right now you're thinking that, if you're right now you're thinking, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to be able to do it. When you get to the point where I ask you or give you the go-ahead to say, dude, get out there and start approaching, you're going to be begging me to do it. In fact, you'll probably already be doing it. It's not something I'm going to have to push you from behind to do. It's not going to be these hands on your back pushing you out to get you approaching. You'll be doing it yourself because of the changes in your belief system that you're going to have. Think about this. Here's another thing I like to talk about. It's the cough syndrome. There's a kid that we used to come over and hang out with us. He was a really cool kid. And he was sick one week, and he came over, and he still had that lingering cough, you know, the one that just keeps going on and on, the one that kids have, and it drives you up a wall if you focus on it too much. Well, the funny thing was, I noticed that when we were playing ball or when we were playing Frisbee with this kid or we were playing on the game system, the Xbox, he would not cough. Now, why is this?